Mr. Ford, what advice would you give a young lady wanting to become President of the United States?
Well, I hope we do have a young lady at some point become President of the United States. I can tell you how I think it will happen, because it won't happen in the normal course of events. Either the Republican or Democrat political party will nominate a man for president and a woman for vice president. And the woman and man will win. So you'll end up with a president, a male, and a vice president, a female. And in that term of office of the president will die. And the woman will become president under the law or Constitution. And once that barrier is broken, from then on, men better be careful, because they'll have a hard time ever even getting a nomination in the future.
Apparently, Gerald Ford was able to read into the future. He could see what was going to happen years and years and years ahead of his time. From 1974 to 1977, Gerald Ford was the President of the United States. And speaking to that group of school kids, a young girl asked him, what would a young lady have to do to become President of the United States? And his answer is almost exactly what happened now. He said a man would have to be running and nominate a woman as his vice president, but the man, being the president, would have to die, and then the lady vice president would become president. The only thing different is Joe Biden didn't die, as far as we know. Kamala Harris was the vice president, and all of a sudden, oh boy, she's the Democratic nominee for the President of the United States. And how it happened, in my opinion, is absolutely disgraceful. And the Democrats went against what they preach. They preach democracy. Well, they have taken away democracy in this country by not allowing people who vote Democrat to have their choice of Democratic candidates to vote for. They're basically telling them, Kamala Harris is our nominee, take it or leave it. And this is how it all happened.
President Biden's selfless decision not to seek the nomination put our country, our party, and our future first. At his core, he's just an honorable man, a family man, a man of deep faith. We love him. We truly do. President Biden's selfless decision has given the Democratic Party the opportunity to unite behind a new nominee, and boy, oh boy, are we enthusiastic. Since President Biden's announcement, we've seen the Democratic Party swiftly coalesce behind Vice President Kamala Harris. She said she would work to earn the support of our party, and boy, has she done so in quick order. Vice President Harris has done a truly impressive job securing the majority of delegates needed to win the Democratic Party's nomination to be our next President of the United States. So now that the process has played out, from the grassroots bottom up, we are here today to throw our support behind Vice President Kamala Harris. I'm clapping. You don't have to.
Boy, oh boy, good old Chucky, huh? He knows how to make a speech, and he knows how to be an actor. President Biden, we love him. We really do. Okay, Chucky, you loved him enough to join the coup with all the others, Hakeem Jeffries, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Nancy Pelosi, and whoever else, to push Joe Biden out the door for Kamala Harris. President Biden didn't make that decision on his own. We all know his family, especially Dr. Jill, wanted that man to continue only for her self-gain, only because she thinks she's important. But they pushed him and pushed him and pushed him enough, he decided to step aside. And if you saw that speech last night, I'm not even going to talk about it. That was a robot sitting in that chair. I don't know if it was Joe Biden, but it looked a little off to me. To me, it looked like it was being played on a green screen, and that was pre-recorded, but that's only my opinion. But let's get back to Chucky. Chucky said he spoke to Kamala, and she wanted to win this nomination on her own. And the senators and Hakeem, they applauded her. Yeah, we know you want to do that, but that's not the way it's going to happen. And so they got together. They colluded with each other, the House and the Senate. And of course, the others I mentioned. And they made it happen. And Kamala, because she worked so hard from last Sunday up until Wednesday, she was able to gather enough delegates to become the Democratic nominee. And as Chuck said, she did it from the grassroots up. Now, Chuck Schumer, number one, has been in the Senate way too long because he believes every lie that comes out of his mouth. He knows, as well as the American people, she did nothing from the grassroots up. Any office she has ever held, the United States Senate, the California Attorney General, and now Vice President, she did nothing. She put her name on a ballot, and the Democrat elite made sure she won. Kamala Harris has never won an election on her own without the help of all the powers that be. We all know it, but Chuck Schumer knows it, but he actually believes that the American voter thinks that Kamala, again, from last Sunday until Wednesday, which was yesterday, she got out there and she called every single delegate in every single state, and she garnered all of their support so they would make her the nominee. This was nothing from the bottom up. This was the top of the top pushing down on Joe Biden to step aside and give up because they all know that he will be crushed on November 5th by Donald Trump. They needed something else because they couldn't hide Joe Biden's cognitive decline any longer. They've tried and tried and tried. They've talked to all of Biden's people, and when I meet with him, he's sharp, he's fresh, he's bright. All the mainstream liberal media telling us there's nothing wrong with Joe Biden. It's all fake. The conservatives and Republicans are clipping and editing videos to make him look bad. Cringe Jean-Pierre, every time she stood at the podium, there's nothing wrong with Joe Biden. His doctors are saying he's fine. It's all in your head. But it got so bad, they didn't have any more lies to tell. Even Cringe Jean-Pierre, that big binder she has, she had no more fairy tales to tell the American people. And then they knew it was time to overthrow their own party's president. And that's exactly what they did. So now, they preach, and they've been preaching for years. Democrats are all about unity, and they're saving the democracy of our country. And if Donald Trump gets back in the White House, he's going to take us back, and he's going to destroy democracy. He's going to prevent people from voting. And that's exactly what the Democrats have done. They, and they alone, number one, pushed out Biden. Number two, made Kamala Harris the Democrat nominee. So what they did is they told every voter in the United States, millions of voters who may vote for a Democrat, that you now have one choice and one choice only, and that is Kamala Harris. You can't go to a primary election and pick between a few candidates and choose the one you like. You can't go to the general election in November and pick another candidate because it's going to be Kamala Harris. And they'll continue to spew democracy and hate on Donald Trump when we all know Donald Trump is trying to do one thing. He's trying to save this country and save the American people from the destruction of the Democrat Party. And they have proven now, and they're not even trying to hide it, because people are smart. People have been paying attention throughout Biden's entire presidency. Their game. The American voters know their game. It's all about holding on to power and doing everything woke imaginable, and they want everybody to go along with it. And if you don't, you're the bad one. So forget democracy when the Democrats say it, because they've destroyed that. Donald Trump will save democracy for this country because he ran in primaries. He was elected by voters who wanted to choose him. He wasn't the only name on the ballot, unlike the Democrats. And if you think back, during the primaries with Joe Biden, nobody wanted to run against Joe Biden. The Democrat elite would not allow another Democrat, except maybe one, maybe two, but I'm not really sure. But they didn't want another name next to Joe Biden's on a Democrat ballot during the primaries, because they had to make sure their puppet won and made it to the finals. But he got bad. He couldn't even speak anymore. They kicked him out, and here we have cackling Kamala Harris. This is the America we live in. This is the America where the party of the elites, the party of unity, tell us that they're trying to save us, they're trying to save our democracy, and they turned around and overthrew their own party's president and installed Kamala Harris as their nominee, and they're force-feeding her down the throats of millions of Democrat voters in this country. Now, it's my hope that independents will see what they have done and vote the other way, meaning Republican. It's my hope that millions of Democrats who want to have a choice to pick their own candidate will see what they have done and vote the other way. Kamala Harris is dangerous for this country, and the one reason is she will not be in charge, just like Joe Biden wasn't in charge. She will be another puppet. They'll dangle on the strings and tell her what to do, what to say, and when to do it and say it. This is not the United States of America, the land of the free. The Democrats don't want us to be free. They want to tell us the decisions that we have to make for our own good. And if we don't like it, too bad, we have to deal with it. Vote this party out of office.